the Talmud describes a very cryptic story about Moses getting the Torah. It says that Moses ascended to the heavenly realm, and the angels see Moses show up in the heavenly realms. They don't know what's going on here. And they turn to God and they say, what's this human being doing up here? Well, God says to the angels, he's not staying. He just came to get the Torah. Well, the angels are disturbed by that, and that did not settle their minds at all. They said, the Torah? You're going to give him and the Jewish people the Torah? Don't do that. Give it to us. Well, God says to Moses, Moses, we got a problem here. The angels are interfering here. They don't want you and your people to get the Torah. Well, Moses said, well, I don't know what to say. I mean, these are powerful beings. So God says, you know what? I tell you what. I'm going to give you some encouragement over here, but you're going to have to respond to their claims against you. Well, okay, Moses says, well, okay, tell me, God, what is in the Torah? So God says, well, it starts off with the Ten Commandments. I am God, your God, who took you out of Egypt. So he turns to the angel. He says, angels, were you in Egypt? Did you suffer for hundreds of years in slavery and exile? Angels say, no, heck no, we're up here in La La Land, in the city of angels. And no. So, God, what else is in the Torah? Do not serve other gods. Don't perform idolatry. Moses turns to the angels and says, do you have an issue with idolatry? Now, you just have to understand what idolatry was. Idolatry wasn't just simply people bowing down to, statues of animals or trees and things like the sun or the moon. Idolatry was basically a belief that everything natural was good and you should only do things that were natural. And therefore, idolatry was filled with sexual perversion. There was holy prostitution and orgies. And therefore, idolatry was very seductive. It's very seductive to say, just do what comes natural. Don't transcend yourself. Don't try and control yourself. Just do whatever you feel like doing. And so when Moses says to the angels, do you have an issue with idolatry? Do you live in a seductive society? The angels say, no, we're angels. Well, Moses says to God, what else is in the Torah? And so God goes through the Torah, and Moses feeds it right back to the angels. Honor your mother and your father. Do you go to therapy? Do you have a problem with your parents? Honoring your parents. Celebrate the Shabbat. Do you guys work? And then he basically gets to the end and he says, listen, angels, is there jealousy amongst you? Angels say, no, we're angels. And then he says, do you have a yetzer hara? Do you have an evil inclination? Do you have an urge to ever do bad? Angels say, no, we're angels. Well, Moses proudly says, well, we do. Now, this doesn't make any sense. Moses was supposed to present the credentials of himself and the Jewish people to receive the Torah. And basically, in every single point of the case he makes, he's basically pointing out that we are flawed creatures. We are filled with imperfections. We have jealousy amongst us. We live in a seductive society. We're traumatized by years of slavery. And, and so what's even more amazing is by sharing the flaws and the imperfections of the people and the challenges of the people, the angels are impressed. They say, wow, we didn't know who we were talking to. And the angels say to God, you know what, God? Give him the Torah. Not only that, it says that the angels were so impressed with Moses and his people that they say, we want to give you a secret. When things get really rough on earth, use these secrets to get through it. But we're really impressed. This is a very cryptic story, to say the least. And, I'm not suggesting that you should take this literally, but our sages tell us these stories and give us deep secrets in these stories. So we're taking this story seriously, not necessarily literally, although I don't have any problems taking it literally. It certainly could have happened. But what's more important is what is the message of the story, and that'll be in the next clip. earlier on in the beginning of this course, I'd shared with you how as a child I was tormented by questions. And one of the questions that I've struggled with over these 40 years of research and all the books that I've written, one of the great questions of life is, if God is good, why is there bad? If God is about love, why is there so much hate? So let's explore the parameters of what good and love actually mean. You know, again, there's probably you and as a child just like me, we were told that God is absolutely good and absolutely loving. And but let's actually explore the parameters of what that actually means. What does it actually mean to be good? So let's say there's two guys. We're going to call one Ben, we're going to call the other one Jack. Jack is good, was good, always will be good, cannot but be good. Jack's good. I think we'd all agree to that, right? But Jack's kind of a good robot. On the other hand, you've got Ben. Ben, he's got what we call a yetzer hara. He's got an urge to do not so good, sometimes even very bad. And so he struggles with good. He struggles with doing good. Now, let's say both of them have been instructed to be hospitable. Well, the one who is good, was good, always will be good, who cannot but be good, he does that anyways. He can't but do, he's obsessively, compulsively kind. When he invites someone over and he demonstrates hospitality, did he do good? Yes, of course he did good. But what about the other fellow who's struggling with it? And he's being asked to be hospitable. He struggles with it. It doesn't come so natural. He's got some inclinations not to do that. But he transcends himself. He gets beyond some of this negative stuff. And he chooses to have somebody over, and he chooses to be hospitable. Which one of these guys has demonstrated a richer form of goodness, a richer form of kindness? The one who is kind, was kind, always will be kind, cannot but be kind? Or the one who had to choose kindness, had to choose to go against his stinginess and transcend that and choose kindness? I think we all intuit that as much as the one that is good, was good, always will be good, has done good, the one who chose good expressed a richer form of goodness. Now let's go back to God. God, we're told, is absolutely good. In fact, the name God is clearly, God is the personification of all good, the root of all good. Well, so would it make sense that if choosing good is such a enhanced manifestation of good, is it possible that God is missing that ability to choose good? Because God certainly doesn't have a yetzer hara. God certainly doesn't have an inclination towards bad. He's absolutely good. And so, you know, it says in the Torah that when God created the world, at every day of creation, God said it was good, it was good. But at the end of creation, God looked at his creation and said it's very good. Our sages tell us that good is the good inclination, very good is the bad inclination. Now that's very bizarre. I mean, what is that supposed to mean? Very good is the bad inclination? See, that's the difference between these two guys. The guy who is good, was good, always will be good. He's good. Is he very good? No, that's the other guy. When you choose good, when you feel like being stingy but you choose kindness, when you feel like hating someone but you choose to act towards them in a loving, kind way, when you choose to be peaceful although you feel like getting into conflict, that is very good. So this is the question that the Kabbalah asks. Is God good? Or does God include the possibility of the very good? Well, that's where you and I come in. You see, we share that there's none but the one, and God is not someone in heaven who created someone on earth. God is the one. There's none but the one. You're someone. You're some of the one. You're a part of God. Not that God breaks up into pieces like a pizza, slices of pizza, but you're a facet and aspect of the one self, the one soul, the one good Almighty. And so what are we doing on this planet? When Moses shared with the angels our challenges, the angels were impressed because these angels are good, but they're not able to be very good. That's what we're doing on this planet. You are a piece of good. You are, what good are you? Each and every one of us is a soul. We've been given character traits. We've been given character traits and also challenging traits. We've come to this world to choose good. That's our purpose. Every single one of us is an episode in a story of absolute good. We've come to this world to choose love, even though there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of urge sometimes to not be so loving. Our job is to choose love, choose good, choose kindness. This is our ultimate purpose. This is what the purpose we have come to this world to live. This is the purpose of life. We've come to this world to choose. Make the choice that you can not only live with, but thrive. Live your purpose. You're a piece of good. Well, so what were these angels thinking? I mean, the whole story doesn't make any sense. Clearly the angels had no clue what was in the Torah, and then Moses just basically told them what's in the Torah and pointed out to them that it's completely irrelevant to them, and then he somehow proudly shares how challenged creatures we are, and they say, oh, okay, fine, go ahead. Well, what's really the secret behind this story, and how does it help us understand living our ultimate purpose? The secret to understanding the story is to figure out what an angel is. Because it's all about going to an angelic realm. Angels are struggling with this. Moses has to answer the angels. Why is the Torah in the angelic realm? And what is it doing there? And the Talmud says that the angel said that God had been holding on to this Torah for generations. And what's going on over here? So an angel is not one of these little winged creatures that you see, on Christmas packaging or something. That's not an angel. An angel is an agent. What is an agent? An agent is someone that you empower to act on your behalf. For instance, in Jewish law, let's say you want to marry somebody, but they're in the North Pole, and you're not going to be able to get to the North Pole right now. It's COVID or whatever. And so you could appoint somebody in the North Pole and say, I'm appointing you, I'm giving you the power of attorney to represent me. And on my behalf, I want you to betroth this person to me. That's what an angel is. The Talmud teaches that an angel has the power of the one who gives them that agency. So now, what does that mean? The angels say to God, you've been holding on to this Torah for so long. And they were wondering the whole time, who's going to get this mission? Because an angel is on a mission, and every angel has a different mission. Every angel, so to speak, is being given the power of attorney to represent God, work on God's behalf, and to accomplish this mission. The angels said, well, there must be this big mission that God's holding on to, that he hasn't appointed anybody and given agency to anybody to do on his behalf. Well, then suddenly this old man, huffing and puffing with a stutter, shows up, and they don't understand this. Who is this guy? God said, well, he came to get the Torah. And they go, no, wait, that's not possible. You're going to give the power of attorney. You're appointing Moses and his people to represent you on earth, to work on your behalf. What is this mission? What makes these people capable of this mission? And so God says, Moses, you're going to have to tell them what is so great about your people. And so, the mission is to choose good. You see, what Moses was basically doing is he was pointing out that what makes us so good to do this mission is we're not so good. What makes us perfect to do this mission is we're not perfect. Because really, most people think that you got these commandments, and I don't know why God wants me to do them, and maybe if I add them up and I save them, I cash them into the next world and I get heaven. That's not what a mitzvah is. A mitzvah means I'm being charged. I'm being appointed. I'm being given the power of attorney to do something for God on earth. That's the power of attorney. But when you appoint somebody to be your agent, it's because you can't do that. You can't do that. Like I wanted to marry somebody, he couldn't do it right now, so he appoints an agent to do something on his behalf that he can't do. Is there something that we can do that God can't do? Is there something we can do that angels can't do? What is it about us? What is our purpose? What are we here to do? We'll talk about that next. So what good are you? Or actually, to be more correct, what very good are you? We clarified in the last talk that God is absolute good. Included within absolute good is the possibility of very good. There's natural good, that is, was, and always will be, but there's a possibility. God Almighty can include the possibility of not only natural good, but a good born of choice. You and I are a manifestation of that possibility of goodness born of choice. Now, not that God has to do this, because God doesn't have to do anything, but God, so to speak, wants to manifest the full possibility of goodness. We're an expression of the very good part of God, the ability to choose good. Well, so then what good are you? How do you find your why? Well, so I heard a great metaphor by a wonderful rabbi by the name of Rabbi Tatz. And in terms of how to find your why, how to find your purpose. And this is what he suggested as a metaphor. Imagine you're at a construction site and you don't know what you're doing there. Someone hands you a bag. Well, so you look in your bag and you see a hammer, nails, saw. You go, oh, I get it. I'm a carpenter. Okay, I'm here to provide carpentry on this site. The guy next to you, he opens up his bag, and in his bag there's fuses and testers, and he realizes, oh, I get it. I get it. I'm an electrician. I'm providing something in terms of building the electrical system here. And then the guy next to you, he opens up his bag, and there's blueprints in there, and he realizes, oh, I get it. I'm the foreman. I'm managing this project. Look in your bag. What talents have you been given? I was given the gift of gab, as I mentioned earlier on. Most people have fear of public speaking. I don't have that. I'm not haughty about that. I hope not, because it's just a gift. Every one of us has been given a gift. Every one of us has been given a strength. What's your strength? That's part of the character you're playing. You're a soul, and you've been given a character to play. So I've been given the character to play. I'm playing the teacher, in terms of career-wise anyways. Question is, what am I doing with that? What am I doing with that? What I would like to, though, extend the metaphor of Rabbi Tatz, and that there's really something else in your bag. There's something broken in your bag. And that's really what you've mostly come to this world to do, is to fix what's broken. I shared with you earlier on that I'm a son of a survivor, and at a very young age, I woke up to my mother screaming, and I was set up to be a philosopher. I mentioned, how did I find my purpose? My purpose found me, because at a young age, I was already asking big questions, the big why questions. Why am I here? Why is there evil? What is this all about? And so, but it wasn't easy to be a son of a survivor. There's a lot of challenges, when your mother was a survivor of the concentration camp, losing her parents to the Nazis, murdered my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncle, my aunt. There's a lot of scars there. And, and I was kind of wounded as a child. My mother was a good person, but I was wounded as a child because I was so aware of tragedy and the possibility of evilness in the world. And Carl Jung says something that he believes that only the wounded doctor can heal. And, I kind of feel maybe only the wounded rabbi can heal. Because as a child, I was wounded, not by my parents, but by the situation of being a Jew and also being under anti-Semitism when I grew up in a non-Jewish community. And I was beat up for killing Jesus by the kids. And I said, I don't even know the kid. I never played with him. And so in your bag are some painful events in your life and some challenging inclinations in you. How do you find your purpose? Actually, what you're not good at is a big part of what your purpose is all about. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about what you're not good at in terms of bringing more love and more harmony and more oneness in the world. It could be that you're not so good at making conversation. It's okay, it's a big deal. So you're more of an introvert. That's not something you have to overcome. That's okay. Don't worry. If you want to overcome it, fine. But that's not an indication that that's your purpose on earth, is to get over being an introvert. Or maybe you're not so funny, to have a great sense of humor. You don't need a great sense of humor to bring more love into the world and more oneness into the world. What we're talking about is when you're challenged and maybe you've got a big mouth and you like to gossip and you really enjoy talking about other people. You need to work on that. You need to be a role model of how to guard your lips and only speak good. Could be that you've got a bit of a jealousy streak, and you need to get over that and choose. A lot of people think that freedom is to do what you feel like doing. Animals do that. Animals do what they feel like doing. Real freedom is to do what you don't feel like doing, but you do it because it's right, because it's good, because it's loving. There could be people in your life that you have good reasons not to like, but you need to get over that. So what is your good? What is your purpose? Look at what you're good at, but also look at what you're struggling with, what you're in pain over. Sometimes when I ask people, what do you think is your calling? What is your mission? Someone says, I really want to build an orphanage. And I generally say, if a person deep inside feels this calling to build an orphanage, must be they had some challenge with childhood, with their parents, or feeling abandoned or something like that. So I heard a teacher once point out, when we're children, often we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And what kind of question is that? When I grew up, all my friends wanted to be hockey players because I was from Canada, or firemen. But I was a Jew. My parents said, you got to be a doctor. What do you ask a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? My teacher suggested a better question to ask. What problem do you want to be part of solving? That's what we came to this world to do. Everybody has a sensitivity, and generally the problem we're sensitive to is something that we ourselves has either witnessed or personally experienced or struggling with ourselves. Very often we're trying to help people with the very thing we ourselves are struggling with. I struggled with God for years of my life. That's why I'm pretty good at helping people find God in their life, but not the God who's some guy in the sky imposing his will on us, but the higher self, the one self that we all share. So what purpose? Ask yourself, what problem do I want to be part of solving? I was teaching in town in Jerusalem here, and after my talk, a fellow came up to me and says, don't you think the most important thing to do in the world is to help the Ethiopian Jews? I said, well, maybe it's the most important thing in the world for you to do. And he said, well, don't you think it should be the number one agenda for all of us? I said, no, I don't even know what's going on with the Ethiopian Jews. So I think that's great. Obviously, the Creator has somehow planted in you a sensitivity for that, a calling to that, a desire to do that. And so what are we doing here on this planet? You're a soul. And you have a purpose. Not only do you have a purpose, you actually are a purpose. You are the embodiment of goodwill. You are self-aware goodwill. You're a part of the one self. You've been given a part to play. You've been given character traits. You've been given challenging character traits. You might have been born at the time of Mars and you've got a bloodthirsty character. But you as a soul have to use that bloodthirsty character to serve. You could use that, and God forbid commit murder, or you could use that to be a surgeon and save lives. But whatever your purpose is, It's a variation of the one purpose that we all have. We are radios. We are here to tune in. We are here to channel into the world one self, one soul. Here, not there is one God, God is one. We are one with God, we're someone, we're one with each other. Your purpose, in general, is to love your neighbor as yourself in the unique way that you can. Look at your life situation. Look at the challenges that you've had. Look at the character traits you've been given. Look at that. Use that. Live in service. Live your purpose. Maximize your meaning. Do what you've come to this world to do as part of the greatest story ever. A story of love, a story of peace, a story of harmony. Thank you for listening. Much success in your journey. Live your purpose. Celebrate your meaning.